of the Church of Christ or Iglesia ni Cristo.
You're watching INCRadio.
INCRadio. INCRadio. INCRadio. Central Valley, California. Central Valley, California. Central Valley, California. INCRadio. Central Valley, California.
Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to all of you here on INCRadio, Central Valley, California. It's so good to be back. As usual, my name is Mark. It's so good to be back on the show. It feels like it's been a long time since we've actually had the chance to be on the show. And so for all of us, summer has officially ended, whether that be enjoying our summer break or even taking some time off of work to be able to relax and bask in the slowness and serene grace that summer has to offer. But even for all of us, after summer's over, we have to reset and refocus on the hustle and bustle of life, that whether it be work, school, or anything in between. And so today on today's show, I'm joined with my guys here from Central Valley, California, in a guys talk today, where we get to talk about our summer and how productive we are getting out of the summer. Guys, if you can go ahead and say hi to everyone. And again, I thank you guys so much for taking the time out of your Friday night to join me on this show. We're very excited to have you all. And for everyone that's tuned in, thank you for joining us as well. If you haven't already done so, please continue to hit that like button and to be subscribed to the YouTube channel. And be sure to hit that notification bell so you too can stay tuned into everything INCRadio, Central Valley, California. And with that being said, summer's over, guys. It feels like only a couple days have passed within the last couple of months, really. And so I wanted to go ahead and first start off the show with how you guys' summer's been. Anything exciting happen? I'll start off with you, Morris.
Hi guys. Yeah, my summer has been really good. Over the past summer, I've just been on vacation. I've been going out camping, going back into the gym, working out since I have the free time, and just doing hobbies that I love, playing basketball and stuff like that. Just having fun over the summer. The time to relax and stuff.
And I feel that, man. Nothing smells summer than grabbing a basketball, going out to the court, and just getting the vibes up.
Exactly.
Jed, what about you? How's your summer been? Our high schooler of the group. Must be nice having 2 months of summer break. Jed, yeah, anything? Jed, hello? There we go.
My
Jed.
summer's been pretty. Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
So my summer's been pretty laid back. I definitely had a lot of more free time. So I got to spend a lot of time working on myself, especially, working out and, spending a lot of time with family, of course, and focusing on my church duty as a choir member, and nothing much.
And there we go, man. I think especially with how busy life gets, we forget to even do the simple things like spending time with our family, right? So I'm glad that you're able to kick back, relax with your family, and of course, working on yourself. That's I forget to work on myself sometimes too. So I'm really happy for you, Jed. Chris, my guy. Like, I know for both of us, we're working, right? So we don't get the luxury of having a summer break. But how has been their summer for you, man? Anything exciting happen?
For me personally, it wasn't as eventful as Marshall's or as laid back as Jed's. But for me, I mean, like you just said, we've just been working. There's no break for us. But on the days that I do have off, I've been going bowling more with my family. So that helps, helps me relax during the summer. And other than that, just work, going bowling, and obviously church. That's about it.
And I love it, Chris. I love how also you decided to spend time with your family and get into a hobby that you probably love to do. I know for a bunch of us here, we all hoop. So then, being able to do something other than hooping, other than waking up, hanging out with the family, working, it's nice to be able to dabble into the other sports that we like to play. And so, I'm glad that everyone, though, had a consistent summer where we either got to do something we love, spend time with people that we love, or even just to remind ourselves how to love ourselves, right? It's always a good thing to do in the summer. But, with summer being very slow and laid back, now we're kicking into the time of the year when we start to realize, oh man, I got to get back into it. For Mars and for Jed, you both are going back into school. Must be very nice. For me and Chris here, on the other hand, us working professionals are always in the working pendulum, I'll call it, as we're always going back and forth between jobs and then vacation every now and then while balancing our life as well. And so I want to go ahead and ask, with summer being over, right now what? Right. So I'm going to first open this up to the audience, then I'll ask you guys. But for our audience, do we feel any kind of pressure trying to be productive out of the gate of summer? Or do we feel like there's really nothing different about going from summer into the fall? And so I'm going to go ahead and actually ask Jed this first, right? Do you feel like there's any pressure, Jed, to suddenly become productive again after a nice summer break? Jed, hello. Okay, well, while Jed's working on that, Mars, how about you? So do you feel any sudden pressure to be overly productive again after a nice summer break?
Maybe not as pressure as you and Chris, working jobs and stuff like that. I know that takes a lot of pressure, specifically because you're doing it all the time. But for college, I do it mainly around the school semester, and so that takes a little bit of pressure off, knowing that I have a set time to do what I need to do for my studies. But there is still some pressure there. Now I gotta kind of get back into a little bit of a work routine. Now there's a lot of basically a lot of classes that I'm going to take specifically for this semester. So I have to be prepared for that, obviously. I can't just be like how I was during the summer and just be laid back and stuff. I have to get back up again, basically.
What are some things in the summer that you gotta say okay, I gotta take it easy doing this in the summer and stay locked in for the fall? What are some of those things?
Oh, basketball for sure. I mean, I during the summer when you play sports, right? You get fatigued pretty easily. Especially if you do it a lot, and if you're trying to work-life balance, try to do college, a job, anything that requires more than half of your time, obviously you're going to have to cut back, but that doesn't mean you have to leave it out, because if you leave it out, then you're going to feel more tired if you if you try, you know what I mean?
Oh, no, 100%. For me, I feel the same way. I try to, I don't want to say limit the sports that I the amount of times I play sports throughout the week, but it's just nice for me to be able to have that time while I'm busy to be able to reset and just focus on something very simple like basketball, right? Chris, what about you? I know you're balancing both work and school and life. So what does it feel like to have to going from the summer, very slow and relaxed to trying to be more productive after the summer is over? What's that like for you?
So for me, since I'm trying to get back into school, trying to get into the nursing program, it's you just have to find the right balance. I mean, with work, school, and then church, just finding the right balance. You never want to overwork yourself, because in the summer, it's a little laid back, and then once you start in the school year, and then other things come along, and you need to start working a little bit more harder. You don't want to overexert yourself, because you're coming back from a sort of a relaxation state, and then getting into a more productive state, and you don't want to overwork yourself. But finding that balance is very important, so you can be able to do everything to the best of your ability.
And the key word there that you mentioned is balance, Chris, right? I love how even with like what Mars is saying, how taking the time to realize that we could play basketball all we want, like, but there should be a balance. And then for you, being able to find that balance of like family, work, life, church. And so like I think we all can agree that finding the balance is very key when it comes to just maintaining our peace and being able to be productive in the way that we need to be. So for everyone in the chat, if you could please in the comment section, what do you do to find balance within your busy life? What are some simple things that you do to refocus, to reflect, and share that with us in the comment section so we can shout you out during our conversation today. Now, Jed, I wanted to ask you now, you being the youngest one here in the group, right? Still in high school. Those are the days. Still going into a new school year in particular, right? I know when I was your age, man, I can't believe I'm saying that. But when I was your age, in the summer, I didn't focus on when it's like one week away from school. It's like, oh, I gotta study, or oh, I gotta like get locked in. I'm more of the let's go and have some fun. But for you, what have you been doing during like these last couple of weeks to help yourself get refocused in going into this new school year?
I feel like just to be refocused, I feel like there's a lot of prayer that goes into it for sure. And I think really preparing myself, by uh, I've been doing this, like I've been, keeping in touch with some friends, like it's kind of like I feel kind of sad and happy at the same time because of the workload that goes into school, but happy to see my friends again.
What was there any? Is there anything like in particular that you're excited about, other than your friends going back into school? I think Jed needs a little bit of time to contemplate on that. But for everyone in the chat, please let us know what are some things that you do to prepare yourself after summer's over to get yourself ready for a very productive fall. Right? We'd love to be able to hear your comments and to be able to read that and add that into our discussion. And so I want to go ahead and keep the conversation going forward, right? So we talked about having productive summers, or even just taking our summers to relax and be of a couch potato, if I can say so myself. I am an advocate for summer couch potatoing, so I'm pretty much a pro in that. But of course, it's good to be busy. However, there's sometimes it's being busy but with no purpose, right? And so the question now is being busy necessarily better, right? There are some times where we're just doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff, and then there's doing stuff for a purpose, right? So for everyone in the chat, the question that I want to pose is like, is busy necessarily better, or is being busy necessarily better? And so to start off this conversation, I actually want to go ahead and ask Chris. Chris, I wanted to get your take on the difference between a full life and a rushed life.
So a full life and a rush life. Like what you were saying earlier, Mark. Busy is depending on what type of busy you are. Like the full life for like being busy is full of purpose, and in a rush life, you're just kind of doing stuff just to do it, just to get it done and everything. So for the full life, you take things, step by step, take one day at a time, and until you reach that one goal that you want to reach. And then for the rushed life, like you're trying to get to the same goal, but you may be skipping a few steps here and there, like when for that full life with that purpose, everything is thought of like perfectly, and then you try and make every little bit of that step perfect. And when a rush life, like when you're rushing to make something, it may not be as the best that you can be, because you skipped a few steps just to get to that end goal. So it may not be right, but you're kind of in the same goal, but it's not the best that it can be, like quality wise.
I love how you mentioned like the quality of work that goes into the difference of quality between like a full life and a rush life, right? So like, for example, with a rush life, it's like there's a goal, but we're kind of just rushing it, just wanting to get there as fast as we can. Versus like a full life, yeah, it's busy. Yeah, there's like a lot of things to do, but we have like systematic steps that go into it. And I can relate to that because for me, it's there's a lot of thought that goes into what the week that comes for, especially for us that we have like different offices or just like the workload that I have at work. There's always like these steps that we have to do in order to make sure that we don't get overwhelmed or we have to rush things at the very end. Now, I want to go and ask the same question to Mars. Actually, Mars, I wanted to get your take on the difference between a full life and a rushed life.
I believe that a full life can necessarily, it doesn't have to necessarily like be like less busy than a rush life. I feel as if you can have the same amount of busyness. I think the difference is that like Chris said, like what your goals are and what you put your busyness in. Like, so for me, I'm a choir member inside the church, right? And so when I think about how to prioritize my time between family, school, and church, I think, well, I gotta set some time for choir, right? Make sure to practice, make sure to do my worship service. And then after I can fill in the blanks for school and then fill in the blanks for family. So then I'm prioritizing like 3 goals, right? And like spanning it throughout the whole week, but I'm still busy and it doesn't feel overwhelming because I'm just doing three goals. And then of course, like if I have time, I'll put in some of the personal hobbies that I have and stuff. And so it doesn't really feel rushed because I feel like I'm always doing something that I need to do within the week.
And I'm glad you bring that up, like understanding your priorities in life, right? And it's understanding like the basis of where you come from versus like trying to depend on other external factors that are trying to affect you from just doing what you need to do. Sister Veronica in our chat mentions that too. A full life is remembering where you come from, and a rush life is depending on others or other external factors. Sister Veronica, thank you so much for providing that input. It really does like hit home when you mention that, right? And so, and now I wanted to go in and ask Jed. Jed, you've heard the difference between a full life and a rush life. So for someone like you, you're still young. I hope you're not living a rush life, right? I hope you're not busy just for the sake of being busy, right? But I wanted to get your take. How do you know at your young age when things are moving too fast?
I feel like when I can determine when things are moving too fast is when like you're scrambling a lot, right? You feel like you want to be busy, but at the same time you don't, because sometimes being busy could mean being productive, or being busy could be something you were forced into.
And you make a great point, right, man? Right? Like, we don't want to feel like we're getting forced into doing things, especially if there's not that much time to do anything, right? And that's where I also agree. Where like, there's some stuff at work where I get pulled into very last minute, and it's because I have to do it, and because I'm getting paid to do it. Then it's like I'm feeling rushed, and that's where most of my life has been for the last year. Where until I got this new job, my life has been, what are you doing? Get it done. Get it done. And so I get it. And that's where I feel like my life would move too fast, but I'm sure others can relate and agree. Some even say in the chat, like staying organized and setting goals, so when you go back to school after summer, the transition will be smoother and more successful. That in itself, from our very own Sarah Leigh Ricardio, Jed, it shows how like being organized and setting these goals leads to that full life, and being very setting objectives to the things that we do. And so that in order to avoid having to move a little too fast, if you know what I mean. And so we're going to take this time actually to read a couple of the comments that you have left in the chat. I do want to mention our number 1 engager will go ahead and receive their very own INC Creative Christian Planner. So for our most active viewer in the chat, if you are our most active viewer, you will go ahead and receive one of our very own Creative Christian Planner. So you can see, you too can also input the goals that you have that you want to set for the rest of the year, and to be able to stay engaged and not have a rush life like me at work. And so, some comments that I want to go ahead and read from our very own Anna Himbach. A rush life is not good quality, always trying to catch up, but never accomplishing it. I think that really hits home, Anna. And thank you so much for your comment. From our very own district minister, Isaiah Antonu, happy 38th anniversary to all the brethren in the local of Arosi. And of course, he says, go Jed, proud of you. Jed, you have a lot of fans in the chat, especially even our district minister. You have so many fans. And then, of course, from our very own Amelia Borse, let's get that 250, bro, Chris. When it comes to you bowling, man, Chris, you also have a lot of fans in the chat, man. I wish I was as famous as you, bro. Like really, like I really do. Like, and then from Louis Angeles, happy viewing poll from the local of Bakersfield. Thank you, Louis, for tuning in. From Ruby de los Reyes, happy 38th anniversary to the locale of Arosi. From our very own Mario Oka, you're always here, man, every week from the Philippines. Always watching, supporting our show. We thank you, my man. Thank you so much for always tuning in. You're my guy in the chat too. So every time I'm in the chat, we're always talking it up. Let's hope to catch up some one day, bro. Okay. And then from our very own Sarah Raimundo, happy viewing to all from the local of Santa Rosa, district of Bulacan South. Sarah, thank you so much for tuning in. We thank you so much for your support. And we're gonna go ahead and actually continue our conversation now. And so again, viewers, please feel free to leave your comments in the chat so we can go ahead and read and include your comments in the conversation. So you too can all the more add value to our show. And so we just to recap, we've discussed about, how our summers have been transitioning from the slow and smooth summer to the more hustle and bustle pace that the fall has to offer to us. And then trying to see if we're just being busy for the sake of being busy, or if we're actually trying to be productive. And so now we want to go ahead and take this time to reflect and to think of the meaningful margins that we've acquired as a part of our successful busyness, right? Life gets busy. We often forget to reflect, right? And so now we want to, I'll ask a couple of questions for us to be able to reflect on our busy season. So my first question, and everyone in the comments, please tag along. I'll go ahead and start with Chris. So Chris, what helps keep you grounded during a busy life season?
So for me, Jed and Marsh, I already mentioned this as being prayerful. Me and my girlfriend, we have a set devotional prayer every night at a certain time, and that helps me. Just after a busy day, it just helps me. Like you said, to stay grounded. Just helps me reflect on be thankful that God has taken me through another day in life. Taking it one day at a time.
And I love that, man. Taking it one day at a time and consistently holding your own devotional prayer. I think that's something that we're always reminded, but it's always so forgotten sometimes because we just get so busy with everything. So shout out to you, man. I relate to that. Snaps in the chat for our guy Chris here. Right now, I want to go ahead and ask Mars here now. Same question. What are some things that helps you keep you grounded during a busy life season?
Some things that keep me busy. I think Chris is gonna set a trend here. Doing prayers, because whenever I feel overwhelmed, it's always good to just talk to God about how you're feeling, and I just know that I can count on God to always set me right with how I'm doing. And if I ever feel like I'm doing too much or if I'm doing too little, praying can just help clear my mind of any of the doubts that I'm feeling and stuff like that.
Amen, brother. I think it gets so easy to get in your own head, right? And just to think of all the negative thoughts, especially when that time does come when you're just so down on yourself and you're like, gosh, what am I doing? What am I doing? Right. And then you just sit down and just meditate for a second. And then you just collect yourself. And then you realize, you know what? I'm here. I'm doing it. Right. Have you ever felt you feel that way?
Exactly. That happens more than a lot of people would think. And it's just good to remind yourself and just have God remind you as well. Because if you skip on that opportunity that's always there, who knows, like you could just dig yourself in a hole. And so God is always there to just, I got you. Let me pick it back up.
Hey, snaps to my man Mars right here. I got you too, Mars. I got you too. Jed, what about you, man? What are some things that helps you keep grounded during a busy time?
So everyone set the trend here, and I'm gonna say it again. Always being prayerful, because life isn't gonna be this laid back in a few weeks, months, right? There's a heavy workload coming, so definitely prayer is something that can keep you grounded, because you kind of have that renewed strength after you meditate, you talk to God, you tell him about everything.
And I can relate to everyone, right? When it comes to ensuring that we pray and that we meditate and take time to ourselves. For me, I try just to keep things simple, right? To down to the basics. What do I need to do? Who needs my help? And what can I do to improve the next day? For me, I always try to relate things to basketball. It's very cliche, but it gets the job done for me, right? And so for me, when I think of basketball, I think there's only two things you got to do: play offense, play defense. How do I relate that to my life? I'm going through my life. I wake up, I serve, I take care of my family, and I go home and spend time with my family. And that's all we got to do to get throughout the day. And that's how I stay grounded, right? It's just being able to take life to its simplest core and to just focus on that. And then from there, life is just so much easier, especially with the faith that we have, right? Now, I do want to mention that there's being able to reset our minds is definitely the best way to be able to go through about it. We mentioned about, praying, talking to friends, talking to family. And so one last thing I want to ask everyone is, what's one piece of advice within the current stage of your life that you're in right now? In one word, what's that one word you can share with our audience that can help them continue to stay grounded no matter what season of life they're in? I'll start with Chris.
That one word, I would say trust. So put all your trust in our Almighty God, because He'll always be the one who will always be there for you, no matter what.
Jed, what about you?
I think it's humility, having that humility, being able to trust in God, being able to meditate, just leave all your worries to Him. That's something that's really refreshing.
And Mars, lastly, what about you?
That one word for me is hope. Is hope, bro. Hope that you're gonna get through every day. Hope that God got you at the end of the day. Who's gonna be here when no one else is there. I hope that God's there, and He's gonna be there.
And guys, I appreciate the three of you joining me on this show. It definitely touches my heart to be able to know that, despite the fact that we're in different stages of life, we all go through the same thing. We all experience these different moments in our lives where we figure, are we actually doing something that's meaningful? Do we have that purpose? Are we just busy being busy? But no, you guys have reminded me to trust in what we're doing, because where we're at is the right place. To be humble and have that humility to know that if we need help, we have each other to be able to get behind, and we have the Almighty to be there, and for us to have the hope that we need to know that the next day there's going to be that help coming. There's going to be someone there that will help you get through whatever you're going through, because God really does have our back. He really has our back, no matter what season we are in our life. And that I hope everyone will take as they continue to stand their ground, even during a busy life. And so with that being said, we thank you so much for joining us in another episode of INCRadio, Central Valley, California. We want to thank, of course, our listeners and viewers that are tuned in today to support us in here on Central Valley, California. We also want to thank our INCRadio station manager, Brother Wally Tarai, to our Deputy Executive Minister, Brother Angelo Erano Vimanalo, and of course, to our Executive Minister, Brother Eduardo Vimanalo. Thank you for giving us the trust that we need, for allowing us to be humble and have the humility that we need, and to have the hope that we all the more have in guiding us and leading us towards our salvation. So thank you everyone for tuning in. We hope that you have a great Friday. Until next time, this has been INC Radio, Central Valley, California. Good night, everyone.